Let's now say hello to Kim Titchener, president of Bear Safety and More. Kim, great to see you this morning. First of all, talk to us about what happened here.
Well, we're still, of course, waiting for more details, but this is an incredibly rare a case of an attack where a group of people were actually attacked. So obviously it's a big shock to that community and I think to Canadians across the country.
What is the usual occurrence when humans encounter a bear, and what is the usual outcome in these kinds of situations?
Sure. Well, there are millions of us that live with bears all across Canada and the United States. And every day people see bears and have encounters with them and nothing happens. So to actually have an attack like this is rare. There have been more bear attacks in British Columbia this year than what we normally see. But this is a reality of living with bears, unfortunately, that over time, as there's more of us on the landscape, we're going to have more interactions with them. And in rare cases, we will see people get attacked. But most of the time when people see a bear, the bear turns and runs away.
You say that this is a rare occurrence. Just how rare is something like this?
Well, we generally don't see people get attacked in large groups. Parks Canada always says, go out in a group of at least 4 people or more when you're going for a hike or a bike ride, because then a bear will hear you coming, they'll get out of the way. This group was sitting at the time, perhaps even quietly. The bear may not have known that they were there and then came out of the bushes, but it also sounds like in this circumstance, this bear was potentially injured. And this is a very different and very dangerous situation to have a bear in a community that is injured walking around.
Is there anything that they could have done differently to avoid this kind of outcome?
I don't believe so. This community is very well versed in living with bears, and they've lived with them for thousands of years. And the teachers were clearly trained in what to do. They had bear spray, they had bear bangers, they knew to protect the children. This is what we should be seeing in our communities and any children's programs where children are going into the outdoors where there are bears. They should have bear safety training. Their teachers should have bear safety training, and there should always be adults in a group supervising children closely and carrying bear spray. And they did all of those things, and that is likely why these people are still alive.
Yeah, it sounds like it could have ended a lot worse. Let's talk about the BC hunting ban and the call for it to be lifted. What do you make of that?
I think it's pretty shameful that, we bring politics into this at a time when there are people suffering so terribly. And even if they were to bring hunting back, they're not going to be going around hunting grizzly bears with cubs, which are often the bears that end up getting surprised by accident with people and then end up attacking people in defense of their young. And most of these attacks that do happen, if you look at the cases that have happened in British Columbia, they have been surprise encounters. Some of these people didn't have bear spray. They were moving quietly in the bush. So we human beings are not getting better at learning how to behave around these animals, and taking bear safety courses, taking precautions, carrying bear spray, going out in groups is really key. Hunting bears doesn't actually reduce bear conflicts. And, when we look at cases where bears come in and maybe get into people's garbage or food or break into buildings, you could go and kill that bear, but another bear will come in its place to come and do that same behavior if we don't remove the attractant in the first place. It is shameful that a lobby group would come forward and try to use this as an excuse when this is an incredibly rare incident. And I highly doubt that this community itself is going to turn around and say, let's go kill all the bears.
Well, in terms of the search for this specific bear, talk to us about what search teams on the ground are looking for, and when this plays out, what exactly will happen to this bear?
Yeah, so the victims have likely been swabbed for DNA from the animal, and then those officers are going to go out, maybe put out some bear traps. They'll be doing some tracking. They'll be trying to see if they can find this bear. Remember, this is a very dense area that has a lot of bear activity. Bears are going to bed, but there's still a lot of bears about. It could be quite difficult to find this bear unless their injuries are, of course, severe and fatal, and they might even end up finding this bear that's injured, that's dead, or they might end up catching it in a trap, and then what they'll be able to do is test its DNA and determine if that's the bear. They may end up accidentally capturing other bears by accident. They'll be able to do that DNA testing and then release those bears that weren't involved in the incident.
All right, we will certainly be following this story. Thank you, Kim, for breaking this down for us. That is Kim Titchener, president of Bear Safety and More.